I'm Em.
And I'm Lex.
And we're thrilled to welcome you to the Ready, Set, Coach podcast.
Now, we're not just your hosts. We're also mamas, entrepreneurs, coaches, friends, and co-founders of the Ready, Set, Coach community.
What began as a pandemic side hustle has blossomed into a vibrant online community crafted by coaches for coaches.
So when we're not immersed in our coaching community on Circle, we're busy managing our other businesses, navigating the ups and downs of life, and of course, recording this podcast.
This is where we dive deep into epic conversations about life, business, coaching,
and everything in between.
So are you ready, Lex?
I'm set, Em.
Let's coach.
100, here we are.
Lexie is going to wrap this whole episode, so watch out, everyone.
100, here we are. We've come this far. What? That's all I got today, guys.
Do you know who we are?
Do you know who we are? We're the E-double-M-L-S.
Oh, yeah.
R-C. Look at you and look at me. It's so bad.
E-M-I-L-Y.
Everyone stop. Don't worry. Stay with this guy. Yeah, okay.
They're like, and next.
Our producer is like, you have episode 100 coming up. Make it special. And
we wrapped right out of the gate.
We just gave you blackmail for us for life.
Yeah, they're like downgrading this episode right now, just being like, they do not have a note of rhythm in their bodies, unfortunately.
No, and actually, yes. I know I'm not to like take us to, but one thing we've always debated is like chit chatter at the beginning of podcasts.
Yeah.
Which we do, but as a listener, I hate. I'm like, don't talk. Just get to the meat and bones.
Get to the meat and potatoes of things. However, then there's whole podcasts that are dedicated just to chit chat, which I'm totally for. Like, I think it'd be so fun to have a podcast where we just talk about, basically, we record a conversation that Lexie and I have on when we're not podcasting.
But do you listen to these podcasts?
No, I don't, but I'm not a podcast listener.
It's fun to record, but I'm saying I'm like an avid, I listen to podcasts every single day of my life. So I know what I like, I know what I don't like. And I feel like you're great at recording them. Then I ask you, I'm like, have you ever listened to one episode ever of this entire podcast or mine? You're like, no.
Yes, one.
Which one?
I don't know. One of them, maybe the first one or the second one. Guys, I don't consume, I love to read. Like I am a very, visual learner. Like I need to read it and absorb it that way. And like I was doing laundry and folding laundry and I listened
That's what I was going to say. What do you do while laundering?
So I was listening to a book, but that's when I listened to my business books.
Okay. I mean, that's very similar to like the concept of a podcast then.
Totally.
You're podcasting, but it's not a podcast.
I try to take a 10-hour book and like finish it in 5 hours. And then I'm like, oh, one business book a week. And then it's in my brain somewhere, even though I probably heard every other word of it because they were talking at such a fast clip.
I just listened to, and if you're a longtime listener, you know this about me. I listen to true crime. That is my podcast listening of choice. Shout out to My Favorite Murder. Shout out to Morbid. Those 4 ladies are my gals.
Speaking of which, Based on a True Story is back on Peacock, which was about the girl who befriends the West Side murderer and blackmails him into doing a podcast about the murders.
Oh, you told me I needed to watch really that, and I forgot.
It's on Peacock.
To remind me the other night when I texted you, what should I watch?
You didn't have that. Do you have Peacock?
I do.
Oh, yeah. Then here we go. Season 1, season 2. That's your homework. That's it. Podcast.
What's it called again?
Based on a True Story.
Okay. Okay, guys. That's my homework. And the episode's done because we always have the homework.
That's it. So this episode, as Lexie beautifully wrapped at the beginning, is our 100th episode, which is kind of mind-boggling because we started this episode. Did we start it last year or the year before?
I don't even know what year it is, so that's a very hard question.
I think we started it last year. Okay. But I'm unsure.
Like 2023 last year?
2023 last year, where Lexie came to a meeting. So we meet twice a week. Lexie is like the only recurrent like positive thing that happens on my calendar every single week that is always a breath of fresh air. So she comes to our meeting and she's like, Emily, I think we need to start a podcast. And the next day we started a podcast. we basically were like, what are we going to talk about? And then we started talking about it. And it's been so extraordinary having this podcast because, as you do know, or you have heard us mention before, if you're longtime listeners, is that we both have our own podcasts, and our other podcasts are a lot more formal and scripted. And this one is very fly by the seat of our pants with a loose theme of what we want to talk about. But I find it so much more fun than my other podcast because I have the ability to banter with you and vice versa, and just kind of like
I
see
agree.
where
It's actually
the
very
episode
not my
goes.
personality to do things off the cusp. So I think it's a good exercise. Also, guys, like in the past hour, my body has decided to come down with something. Like literally, I didn't wake up like this, and now I'm like can't stop sneezing. So if I sound nasally, it's because that's happening. I keep touching my hair. I'm like fidgeting. So guys, go to YouTube. It's a Hot Mess Express per usual. That's what I feel like this podcast is a time capsule of Hot Mess Express Lex. That's what it truly is.
That's we rebranded it just to accommodate the hot mess express of Lexie. Lex mess. Anyways, but Lexie, do you
Close.
want to tell them what we are going to be talking about today on episode number 100?
Well, we debated quite a bit. Like, okay, that feels like a lot of pressure, right? 100 episodes. So we debated about it and we decided let's talk about the great debates because something you know about us, if you are longtime listeners or a client, is we are very yin and yang. And there's a lot of things we see eye to eye on and we agree on. There are also things we don't. And I always think we handle them super respectfully. And that's why we're probably still in partnership with each other 4 years later. But yeah, we don't always agree eye to eye. So we picked three of our great debates and we're just gonna like have it out. We have no preparation per usual. I don't have talking points. We'll see how this goes. We'll see how we would have done on a debate team.
So basically think what was it? What was the name? Logan Paul versus
Oh, was that
Mike
big fight
Tyson.
that just
Yeah.
happened?
It was sad. It was really sad.
I didn't watch it, but CJ did.
We watched it, and Mike Tyson, like, oh, he got destroyed by a 27-year-old. But you know what? The guy is 27 versus like 57. So there is
Well,
that.
isn't that life for you? So many themes there.
I know. I know. Oh, publicly doing it too. Not good. But okay, so I love this topic. To reiterate what Lex said, I think there is this aspect whenever we make a decision. It's a very healthy debate, but it's also really nice because we don't acquiesce to each other's desires. It's like, well, why is that important to you? Or why do you think in this way? Or how can we kind of be halfway happy and come up with some sort of compromise? I got the hiccups.
It's okay.
That's fun.
I'll sneeze
Whew.
and have snot running down. You'll hiccup, and you can come on to my Hot Mess Express.
I'll just go. Side note, I had a doctor's appointment yesterday. I'm 24 weeks pregnant, and they were asking, I was telling her I sneeze and usually let out a little tinkle. And she was like, that's not that's not that normal. Like you should probably talk to a pelvic floor expert. And I was like, wait, so when other people cough and laugh really hard, that doesn't
That's
happen?
not true. That is so normal after you've given birth.
Yeah, that's
Every mom I know.
3 years though. So she's like, maybe it's time we like put you in contact with a pelvic floor expert. And I was like, maybe it's time.
Okay.
Maybe it's time. But
Well, this podcast went there. So for our
yeah,
first great debate of the day,
should I
this
have
is
a
very
pelvic floor?
timely. We are recording the week of Thanksgiving. And so we have Black Friday and Cyber Monday just around the corner. And anytime there's a holiday, this comes up for Em and I. So Em, do you want to preface the debate or do you want to start with your side? I have no idea how we're doing this.
No,
Tag you're
I
it.
don't care. Okay, so I think that Black Friday, I never used to touch it. I used to always write something kind of like witty on a newsletter being like, this isn't a normal Black Friday email, and I wouldn't offer any deals or offers. And then as my business evolved, I started experimenting. And this is with my other business, SVS. And I started layering in offers where I would like discount my membership, but I would have limits. Like rather than a discounting my monthly membership, it would be on my annual membership. And it would be a very steep discount at a very short amount of time. And I would get lots of money. Like I would make a lot of money in a 2-day period, basically. And it was really cool because it drummed up this like, are you in or out excitement for people to be a part of my community. So when I brought this up to Lexie, when we were running our Ready Set Coach group program and also the launch pack and everything, she is not as in favor of discounting coaching services on Black Friday or Cyber Monday. And so I would love to invite Lexie to the main stage arena to explain why you don't want to discount them on those particular dates.
Here's my moment. Do I get 30 seconds?
Yeah.
Yeah. So first, let me make it very clear all about the discounts when we're talking about a jacket, a purse. I actually think it makes sense for a membership, but when we're talking about a service, I think it's a psychological mind F in the wrong way. It's kind of teaching your audience like, oh, I'm discountable when you've tried so hard to do high ticket sales, or you've tried so hard to place a value on a service that you give, and now one day a week you're like, just kidding, now it's not worth that much. I don't know. I think it's the wrong message and goes against absolutely everything you're trying to do 364 other days of the year. And on the consumer side, if I'm like, okay, so the coach discounts her coaching services on this time of year, like she's 5,000 to 3,000, like, okay, like I'm gonna push back on her. Like clearly she doesn't value her. I don't know. I just think it opens a whole can of worms.
Totally. And I see that perspective completely. So here's I think the compromise where you can create an offer that is unique to Black Friday that is not taking away from your original offer and not discounting you. So for example, maybe it's like you usually do 12 sessions of coaching and you never do like 6 sessions of coaching. And so you do 6 sessions of coaching for half of the price of the 12 sessions. And that's exclusive to like 5 spots during this time. So something that's like a limited time offer where, and this is why I think it's important to sell on Black Friday or Cyber Monday, is because people are primed and conditioned to shop.
Yeah, but I see, and I hear you for everything but coaching services. Like I am 100% on board for every other type of business model. I truly am. But when it's a service-based business, I'm not on board. I think it's you're looping yourself with D2C, with commerce. Now you're playing like this pricing psychology game, and kind of looping yourself in as a cheaper product. I don't know. I'm very against it, which is I've thrown Emily a bone on certain occasions with the launch pack because I'm like, okay, I guess we can see that as a little bit of a product, but I never like it. I never actually feel good about it. It's me just being a good co-founder. I feel very strongly that if you start playing that game with your time and your services, your price becomes negotiable. And I'm very much of the mindset the price is the price when it comes to coaching.
And I'll say one last thing. I'll share examples. One thing that I'll discount on Black Friday is my 90-minute power session. My 90-minute power session has led to people then enrolling into my mastermind program. And then it's led to people, it's basically given them a taste of me. Maybe they were like scared to jump, but once they finally got to like experience that taste, it evolved into a higher offer. So that's where we stand on our Black Friday, Cyber Monday coaching. I would love to hear your opinion. Maybe we'll drop this in the community so we get everyone's thoughts on this.
Let's do that.
Yeah, weigh in. We'll start doing that more so there can be some community fodder of like where do people stand. There are no right or wrong answers. Yes, this podcast is fluid.
You're right. Just kidding.
Okay, this is something else that I will say. I am very grateful for Lexie because I think I'm a coward in this aspect, but I hate following up with people.
Pause. We're entering our next great debate. Okay, go.
Our next great debate. Thank you. The great debate of 2020, basically. It started 2021. The following up. So I have very much always subscribed to the idea if someone wants to work with me, I don't have to convince them to work with me, and they know they want to work with me. So I typically like give them that space to figure it out. And I also give them like a time in which to return. If I don't hear from them from that time, it usually means like, okay, then you're not interested and you're taking on a ghosting mentality.
Hey everyone, Lex here.
And Em.
And if you haven't heard, we did something pretty darn cool.
We sure did. We launched a completely free community built specifically for coaches.
Say it again for the people in the back.
We launched a free community for coaches. Tell them quickly who it's for and what we're doing inside Lex.
Sure thing. So it's for anyone from the coaching curious to side hustlers to coaches ready to scale. And through the virtual platform that we've built, we've created a safe and fun space to learn, launch, grow, connect, ideate, collaborate, vent, and evolve together.
Nailed it, Lex. Now, while it's free, you must apply in order to gain a free membership. You know, so we can make sure everyone inside is awesome, like us.
Apply today at readysetcoachcommunity.com.
Lexie, on the other hand, how do you feel about following up?
Well, me and every data source on the planet.
Okay, this is supposed to be nice.
I'm feeling very competitive. Let's go. I'm pro follow-up. I'm not trying to be a bitch, but data supports it, period. And experience, in my opinion, supports it. I hear you, Emily, and I'm not in the game of convincing, but I'm also someone who, if we go to my inbox right now, I think I have 2,047 emails. And there's at least 50 to 75 of those that I need to respond to. And it's not because I don't want them. It's because I'm drowning and I need the reminder. And I have just found time and time and time again that I'd say like 95% of sales, and I'd say this for our RSC too, have required a follow-up. I think there's a way to do it and a way to not do it. I'm not pro like 80 follow-ups by any means. I think there's a respectful way to do it. I think use a follow-up, offer something new when you do follow up. I think there's a way to do it and a way not to do it. I think people need it. There's so much coming at them. And to assume that if they don't get back to you right away means they don't want to work with you is, you could be right, but I don't know. Usually that's not the case.
Yeah, no, I have changed my tune a little bit more. I think the bad taste of follow-up has come from like LinkedIn recently. I have someone currently in my inbox that it just like gets under my skin when I see their name. It's like, okay, do you want me to just F off? Like, you just tell me. And and I'm like, yeah, I want to tell you, but I'm not going to tell you because I'm a polite person, which brings me to the book that I'm listening to right now called The Power of Influence. And it is so funny to think of like certain sales strategies that people use where as a society, we don't want to make people feel bad and we can't like it takes it probably like her next follow-up, I'll probably be like schedule a call because I feel worse telling her to go F herself. You know what I mean? Like
you're nice. See, I just probably would ghost, whether intentional or not. I also want to highlight, like, there's a difference between someone who, and I'm not saying you're saying this, but I want to share to everyone, reaching out cold to someone and then just keep like pinging them is very different than what we're talking about here. I'm talking about someone that you've had some indication that they're interested, right? Maybe they were on the fence. And so I also think, when I shopped for my second high ticket one-on-one coach, I was very turned off. There was down to two ladies at the end, and one followed up with me and really made me feel wanted. The other one very much played that, well, I don't need you either way. And I get it, but I wanted the person who wanted me. I wanted to feel wanted. I wanted them to feel excited to work with me too. So for me, going through that experience, I think has reinforced why I want people to know I want to work with them. Now, I'm not going to email them 50 times, probably.
Totally. And I think that brings up a really good perspective of follow-up too, is just reminding that person of like what can be with the work that you do together and letting them know about your excitement versus like, oh, well, clock is ticking and doors are closing and you can't sit with us if you don't opt in by X date. So I love that like reframe of just reiterating the invitation. And I will say, as someone who follows the heck up and stalks the F out of people for events, and I think that's the other thing too. Like, I have no shame in terms of, like, I will text 70 people in succession and then, reach out to 400 people on LinkedIn. And if they don't respond, I'm not feeling like less than because they didn't respond to something. But it sometimes takes a lot of like reminding people. And I have one particular friend, and it drives me bananas because she'll, like, the night of the event, be like, oh my God, I didn't see it. And I was like, you got 17 emails about it. You got a personalized email about it. It was on my Instagram stories. And like, you need to then send that person that personalized text message to actually have it like process through their brain.
So I think you're coming more over to my side is what I'm
Oh, I'm
feeling.
definitely more over on your side. You win this debate 1,000%.
Yay, me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Should we go into our third great debate?
Wait, did I win the first one though? So
I don't think so. I think that was a standstill.
rude.
You might win this one. We'll see how this one
Okay.
plans off.
Okay.
So, great debate number 3 is selling to clients and selling to clients while they're actively your clients. Emily, I'm going to give you the baton first.
Okay, so what I mean by selling to clients when they're already your existing clients is letting them know about a potential opportunity to get more one-on-one coaching with you if they're in a group program, or letting them and inviting them to a graduate program while they're still jazzed and excited about the program that they're currently in. So for example, we have 2 sessions left of our final group program, and then we're launching our graduate program like 1 month later. I think it makes more sense to like get them opted into the graduate program while they're still on the high of your group program. Well, Lex, on the other hand, believes.
Yeah, and I want to give you a bone here and say I think there's a lot that's smart on the selling side to that. Where I get, and it can work. There's 2 things that hold me up. First, and I don't know if this is founded or unfounded, but if someone's paying for a service, they're not paying to be sold to. So I feel like I want to finish the delivery of service and use the time they've paid for to deliver, and then I can sell to them. Maybe it's selling to them in an email. I don't want them to think I'm, on to the next already when we haven't even completed the first thing they paid for. Flip side, it's kind of like, going to, let's say you buy a ticket to a 1 hour webinar and you learn for 40 minutes, then 20 minutes they're just selling you on the next. You're like, wait, I already bought a product. Can you finish delivering that product, please? So maybe it's a personal thing. Maybe it like pisses me off and I'm reflecting that on the industry, but that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah, and I hear that completely. I think there's this aspect. I just finished a mastermind that I was included in, and I was kind of disappointed that we weren't sold into something at the end. Like, we had this momentum, we had this like friendship, and like I wanted to be invited to like the next wave of whatever that container looked like. And it's helped, like, at least for the things that I've engaged in the past that were group, usually it's been an easy, like, yeah, let's keep this party going when they sell it while I'm still in it versus afterwards. And I'm like, oh no, I have so much homework to still do, and, have too much time to ruminate on like what I haven't yet accomplished from the things. I will share back to like our mentality about selling. I think that selling is an invitation. And so it's not a convincing, it's not a like pestering, it's not a like, you have to do this or else we think less of you type of thing. So I'll share that like I'm currently like running a cohort of a mastermind, and I have a retreat coming up. And I think it would be really beneficial for these women to opt into the retreat. So I let them know. I was like, I only have a few spots left. Like, I would be doing you a disservice not to really, really tell you that I think you would be the right fit at this retreat. And
I think you're right. I think it's the when it's presented that
yeah.
we've always like, and I think that's interesting because we're different buyers. See, it would have irked me if part of that time, if I was in your mastermind and she took part of the time.
I dropped it in Slack.
That's different to me.
Oh yeah.
That feels different. That feels better. It's like going to therapy for an hour, but I don't get my full hour
Yeah.
because they're already trying to sell me. And this effing happened to me with my chiropractor lady that I went to, like we had one session and she spent like 30 minutes talking to me about all the future sessions I needed to buy. That's fine, but can you like deliver my service first and then ask me if I want to learn more? And then if we do, that's like separate time. Like let me get, so again, this will be a good like debate one
Yeah.
for the community because I'm curious if what I'm not debating is the effectiveness. I do think how I did it more so when I did it with the PR bar was it always happened after graduation. So yeah, I guess I always did it after. But I did play with you, not play with you, but like we did do some of it in RSC. So if you're listening, you're like, you're a hypocrite, Lexie. It's because I was trying to be a
It was
good
Emily's fault.
co-founder.
Oh wow, you're bullied. No, my question for you is with your graduation for the PR bar, did you seed the idea of a graduate program to them at all during the program?
No, not unless they asked. And
Like
so
they didn't know you had a graduate program. It was
they
like a
probably, I
surprise
mean,
until
they might have
ready.
seen it on like the website, but like, no, we didn't talk about it unless it was asked. So if they're like, what do we do after 6 months? Then I would answer. I'd say, there is an opportunity. We can address it like at that time. But
Mhm.
I would go through their final um session and I'd
Mhm.
always send a wrap-up email. And in that wrap-up email, I also didn't offer it to everyone, which I know you don't do either. I'm like, I actually do think there's an opportunity to
Yeah.
continue. So if you want to learn more, let's book a separate call. Me
Yeah.
with them. So it's like service complete, 6 months complete. Here's everything you want. Now, if you
Yeah.
do want to learn more, we can continue the conversation. I'm not saying that's the right way to do it, but I think maybe a good point here too is
Mm.
like you have to lean into what feels authentic to you and what
Yeah.
feels good to you. And I think you would have liked to be sold to or invited while in that active, that means like this is something that feels good for you. Where for me,
Yeah.
it feels forced because I clearly have my own issues with being sold to while I'm paying for something.
Paying for something. Yeah. I mean, I think to your point too, it could be like, hey guys, if you're able to stay 15 minutes later, I'd love to tell you about what's next beyond this. Or I'm going to do it, like, I'm going to send you a loom about it. Or, like let them, you can acknowledge it, but it's not a wholesale. Cause I'm so with you. Like I've seen probably 2000 at least events and the ones that they take like 20 minutes to sell. And you're like, oh God, but the way that you sold makes me like, want to leave this event early. I think there's ways to sell and ways to sell where you're excited and you're like itching to be a part of it. And there's ways, and we've talked about this. I bought from people that you're like, that was disgusting. I hated it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I felt so excited and tingly all over.
It is fascinating because I remember too, we obviously aren't going to name names. There's a certain individual who hosted an event years ago, and you said it
Mm-hmm.
was one of, like,
Mm-hmm.
she signed some of the
Like
highest
5
number of clients
people.
ever.
Yeah.
And I was so
For
turned
like
off by her.
$5,000
I
each.
was like,
Yeah.
people paid her money. I was so borderline offended during her
Mhm.
presentation. Like,
Yeah.
that's not why I'm here. Yet, flip side, she sold like $30,000 from
Yeah.
doing that. So it kind of blows my mind. I think it is interesting too. Like she probably like you, like that felt authentic to her, but you put
Mhm.
me, and this is something we've kind of played with a lot when we've done our free events, like
Mhm.
the different ways to sell at the end. I have always felt like if I feel uncomfortable, like if it doesn't feel good to me, it feels forced, it doesn't end up converting. But that's where I think the
1,000%.
yin and yang is good. And it's good
Yeah.
for me to try. And you come over to you throw me bones too. And let's make a
Yeah.
beautiful partnership, guys.
Yeah.
Compromise.
Compromise. I will say that I think one thing that we both do and that we're both in agreement on is like, well, when we are on a sales call and we've been on a lot of sales calls together, we'll like explain the specifics and the price, but we never have been someone on a call. If you went through our program, like we talk about this a lot for our sales strategy, it's not like, okay, let's get your credit card information right now.
Yeah.
I have bought from that person before and I like resented it so much. And so it's very much like they're opting into the decision, we're giving them the invite, and then they hit the RSVP.
Yeah. Yep. So we
So
are in agree. Are we ending the great debate in agreement?
yeah. Oh, I was gonna say something inappropriate. I'll spare it for later. Yes, we are.
Now you're sparing it after we've talked about tinkling.
I said tinkle. It wasn't a bad idea.
So yeah, 100 episodes. If you've been with us from the beginning, I'm sorry / thank you. Tune in to all the guest episodes we're dropping this season. The women in our community are absolutely incredible and way cooler than us. So they're worth a listen.
And we will be dropping this podcast for live debates as well as future podcasts within the community. So we have a new channel starting that will be a podcast like discussion channel. And so make sure to
or we'll do it in the announcement channel.
Or the announcement channel that will have a hashtag podcast
I like
discussion. And so then weigh in because we want real-time feedback. We also want your thoughts on what you want to hear. Like, are there topics that have been top of mind for you or something that you want us to talk through, both our point of view? So we will be opening up an opportunity for submissions too.
Yep. And if you join RSC Insider, you get an episode. So,
yes.
Hey.
Yay.
See, I can sell to you on the podcast, guys, because you didn't pay for this.
We did. We sure as heck did. Which is only 10. No, and honestly, I think that is a really great reminder for $10 a month. It's an incredible way to continue fostering the community and to also for us to give back to you and showcase your incredible capabilities and spotlight you in a broader way.
Yes. And so
with that,
happy debating over the holidays, my friends.
Oh God. We didn't even talk about that one. We'll see you the next time on the Ready, Set,
Coach podcast. Podcast. I had to rap at the end. Okay, bye.
If you're enjoying the Ready, Set, Coach podcast, please leave a review wherever you are listening. For more information about Ready, Set, Coach, visit readysetcoachprogram.com.